So hummus diet.
Hummus.
Explain.
Hummus.
How does it work?
Hummus comes from chickpeas.
Yeah.
So, so I like acknowledging the chickpea as the source.
There's more. That's quality. She's not done. There's more. Obviously, it's
Making her brain go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's panicking because she thinks you're trying to offer her. She thinks either you're trying to say
Distractions are an inevitability.
no such thing as distractions, since there's no necessity to get to an end.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. So
Go ahead. Hummus chickpeas.
Chickpea.
Yeah.
Not chickpeas. Hummus does come from chickpeas.
Yeah.
But I prefer to think that the origin of hummus is chickpea.
Yeah.
Also known as garbanzo beans.
Yes.
But I don't use garbanzo beans in anything.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make falafel?
I know how to make people falafel.
Explain your diet for God's sakes.
if I don't tell them the answers to questions, they start to feel awful.
People are dying.
Especially this guy.
Remember,
Okay.
a true sadist, when he meets a true masochist, and the masochist says, "Beat me, beat me," the true sadist
Is he the
says,
masochist?
"No,
There's like 3 parts, right?
no."
HCG? Is that what it is called?
HCG is called human chorionic gonadotropin,
Human chorionic something?
gonadotropin,
Okay.
and it is a hormone that is found in the urine of pregnant women.
Hence the chickpea.
That's right.
And hummus.
That's exactly correct.
Okay, good.
I call it the hummus diet because the primary and necessary,
What was it? Couch patch on a.
the primary and essential component is derived from chickpea, and it is a hormone that tells your brain that you are pregnant.
Even if you're a dude, right?
Even though you're a dude, yeah. And because you're pregnant, your brain starts going, I'd better forage through my body to find whatever fat is available to nourish myself before my body decides to start using muscle, which I'm going to need. So the diet I'm on works because my body is ravaging itself to find about 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day of nutrition. But since I've got so much stored fat, and stored fat has about 3,500 calories.
Ooh, third message. She's never messaged me 3 times.
And you inject HCG to your stomach, right?
I inject HCG into my body. It doesn't really matter where I inject it.
Pretty safe.
Well, it depends on what you mean. If you don't know what you're doing with a needle, then you can probably inject it in your eye. You might
Oh,
regret it.
not the actual HCG.
HCG is incredibly safe. In fact, for men whose testosterone production is depleted, HCG will generally crank it back up.
Then you just avoid carbs and stick to protein.
I have to keep it down, so keep my body food intake down below 800 calories, absolute maximum.
Okay.
Really, you want to aim for about 500 calories
Okay.
of fuel from food. And it's got to be the most protein rich you can manage,
Hence the barbecuing.
hence the meat
Yeah.
or egg whites
Yeah.
or things like that. You need to be cranking up your digestible and accessible proteins. Now you can take protein supplements, but most of them are not that digestible, and you won't actually get as much out of them as you imagine you will.
How many grams of fat per day do you lose?
How many grams of fat do I?
Pounds, fuck.
Pounds. Generally, it uses up a pound of fat per day for a man.
Yeah.
Women tend to lose about half a pound a day.
Okay. And do a lot of people know about this, or did you discover this?
No. This was published in the 50s by a brilliant guy in
50s?
the 1950s
Yeah.
by a guy named Simeons.
Okay.
He was an Italian national, but he was actually British-born, I understand.
How come no one knows about this?
No one knows about this. Plenty of people know about this. But it's been, quote-unquote, debunked.
Okay.
Even though it's correct and accurate. It's been debunked because it is extremely bad for the medical industry right now for obesity to be curable.
Got it.
Imagine if everyone who wanted to could lose 20 pounds or so in a month without having to do any additional exercise at all at a cost of, let's say, $1 a day for the hormone value.
Right.
Cut down their food intake so much that they'd save more than $1 a day. So this is for all intents and purposes free, because you actually save more money than you spend
Yeah.
by doing this diet. So it nets out to cheaper for me to use my stored fat to feed myself than go out and get new food.
So how would somebody start it?
How would somebody start what?
The diet. Is it easy to get it?
They'd have to, probably. I will say they should go to see a doctor.
Okay.
But in the U.S., that means they'll have to pay a doctor.
Yeah.
They should go and see someone who understands this stuff, or do their own research on their own time. I am not in any way telling people this is what they should do.
Right.
What I do is I arrange to get the hormone. It is usually prescribed for women who are trying to become pregnant. Occasionally it is prescribed for men whose testosterone levels have cratered to kickstart their testosterone levels. For a man who is using it to kickstart his testosterone levels, he'll usually get 5,000 international units in a little ampule, which he mixes with a couple of milliliters of water.
Yeah.
And that is injected once submuscularly, intramuscularly, and that usually helps kickstart his gonads.